All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the First City Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Whited, owner of First City Records, 166 Front Street, downtown Marietta. We are at episode 9 of the First City Podcast. Last week, I took a week off. I gotta say, we had the Taylor Swift party that I've been promoting. We had Record Store Day, and then I took my kids out of town on Sunday for a Batman Symphony in Cleveland, and by the time it was time for me to focus on the podcast, I was just not there mentally and exhausted from a hellacious week in retail. So I gotta say, sorry about being gone last week, but I'm super happy to be back with this double monstrous episode that we have this week. We have 2 amazing interviews this week. Mullen, former mayor, local musician, beloved by almost everybody. I've never heard a bad word spoken about him, but I can't speak for everybody. But I gotta say, he said it himself. He's an old hippie, or he was an old hippie then, and he's an old hippie now. And I could have talked to him for 4 hours. We limited it to just over an hour with Moon. And then I got to get on the phone with Andy Tuck, wanted me to call him just Tuck, of the band The Greens, that will be live at First City Records this Friday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. One of my favorite bands of all time, and definitely my favorite regional rock band, favorite one out of all the ones that I've heard over the years. And I've been to many shows, but I've been to more Green shows than any other band that has ever existed in our region. Super stoked to have Tuck and the crew of the Greens at First City Records. Not going to do a lot of talking. As usual, we have a jam-packed show, and I don't want to make you keep waiting, so enjoy our interview with Tuck. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live here in the studio, and we're on the phone with Mr. Andy Tuck. Do you go by Andy or Andrew these days?
Andy's fine. Most people just call me Tuck.
All right. We're on the phone with Tuck from the band The Greens. Regional band. Used to feel like you guys were a local band, but you're definitely Morgantown based. It's just you used to play around Parkersburg so much, I thought you were a local band.
Yeah, well, I would say that would qualify us as regional. You know, with Parkersburg, we always, since 2002, we'd always had kind of a headquarters there. Whether it was Bogies or the Front Row or the Wheelhouse or even into Sixpence, there had always been, at least one good, music venue / bar that would, accept our original stuff rather than, cover tune stuff. But
that was the hard sell. That was the hard sell in Parkersburg, was trying to get a following with original music and not doing the biker scene, the hard rock, the right. 80s rock. Right. I know I never broke that fourth wall, but you guys have had a pretty successful career. So I have a little story. A long time ago, you used to play at the Sixpence, and one night I was there, and I danced all freaking night, right next to that or stage left speaker, and literally for a week, I had the ringing of the gods in my ears that would just not go away. I started to think I had tinnitus and that I was never going to hear again. You guys put on such an amazing show. I just kind of lost track of my own senses. I guess you would say.
Literally, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's high praise. I mean, I almost went completely deaf.
Physical, we don't ever want to hurt anybody that bad.
Oh yeah, more than I was also in my early to mid 20s at that point. I'm 40 now, so I mean, even if I'm out on the lawn, I got my ear muffs on or my little earbuds just to be on the safe side, because you never know.
No, and that's something that I kind of fight with myself, is like, what is this going to do to me? But so far so good.
Yep.
And I think that we don't play enough. It's not like we're on tour, 300 days a year. We play, the Greens probably play. I think we played only 20 shows last year, which was the lowest it's been since COVID, when there was 0 shows. But so 20 is definitely better than 0, but it's definitely less, quantity of shows. But I think that also helps us when we do play a show. It's like, this is a show. It's not just a bar gig for playing for the 80s crowd who could care less. It's like these are events rather this, run of the mill.
It's a happening. It's a happening when you guys can come to Parkersburg, or in this case, Marietta now, as opposed to, oh yeah, the Greens are back in town.
Right. Ho hum.
So 2004, Fruition, my favorite album, top 25 of my life, top 25 favorite albums that I know inside and out. There was never a time that I haven't owned that album either digitally, or I still have my original CD. From the
buddy.
And I tell you what, this kid came in the store the other day. He is running for senior class president. So I'm guessing he's 15, maybe 16, and his name is Rowdy, or I think he goes by Rue, but I think his name is Rowdy. He specifically came to the store to make sure that what time you all are starting, and to make sure to tell you to bring merch, because he has most of your CDs and he's looking to complete the set. So you have reached all the way down in the high school kids these days. You probably didn't know that, at least in this area, because your fan base is pretty much our age, and we come to all the shows.
Right. And so, like you said, when a kid, that's where music lives. Is these, the kid. I mean, that's where we both. I'm sure you too. That's where we discovered music and like this whole other kind of world. And so that is awesome. That's we're going to start to have. The band ourselves is going to start to have, teenage. I have a teenage daughter now, actually, and she's into Taylor Swift. So that's a whole other thing. But
I know my 16-year-old's into Kanye, so I get you.
There you have it. I mean, what can you do? You can't nobody tell them nothing, But I think that that's very important, is to maintain that youthfulness, enthusiasm, because these are the kids that'll buy merch and be enthusiastic and tell their friends, So it's absolutely beautiful to have, I guess what you consider to be the next generation. I guess we're an oldies act now, forgetting our kids, but
he uses a guitar. That's so 1999. He uses a real guitar.
Yeah, isn't that quaint? It is.
Oh boy. So what's the secret to your longevity? Every time I see a video of you posted, you're still rolling around on the ground, throwing fits on that guitar like you were still a pup. Obviously the 20 shows a year helps you get that, keep that feeling like when you're actually doing it, like it motivates you. But what's your secret to longevity as far as your writing and wanting to continue to be the Greens and to do these shows into parenthood and middle lifedom?
That's a good question, and I have to go ahead and quote David Lee Roth, who said something really brilliant to me that I've stayed. I mean, when I read that somewhere, I don't remember where it was, but he said, and this is great. He said, you have to constantly reinvest your enthusiasm for what you're doing, and I thought that was a really nice way to put the answer to that question, because I battle with like, am I doing enough? What am I doing here? How is this going to, go? But I'm not very business oriented. What I consider myself to be an artist or a composer. And so I think that in and of itself, the creative process, I just love it. I love getting an idea and, driving around in the car and humming tunes and tweaking out. And my wife knows that I'm in creative mode. So she just like, lets me lock myself in the basement. And it is a process, and it's always mysterious, and so it's always new, because it's never like, okay, I'm going to write a verse in F sharp minor and then a chorus in A. It's never like that. So I think that the live performance is where you can take these ideas that you have and put them in front of people. If there's 30 people or 300 or 3, then you're presenting what you have spent time and effort doing to people who may or may not appreciate it, but at least that you went out there and gave it your all. And there's another quote that just popped in my head. Once we were on tour with a band called Freak Bass, and that was back earlier 2005 or 6 or something. We were hanging out with them after the show. We were young, and they were seasoned veterans of the road, and we were hanging out. And I asked him kind of the same question. I said, because it wasn't that great of a show when we played with him. I was like, are you sad because this was a bummer show? He's like, absolutely not. He said, this could be our last show. I could walk outside and get hit by a bus. And would I want to spend my last show being sad about how it could have been better? Just enjoy enjoy every sandwich.
Yeah. That's some heavy shit. I like that. That's a good quote. Okay, so when we were slightly younger, the house party, we mentioned this on on a different podcast. My friend Jared Eddy and I wound up at the house party where the Flaming Lips ended up playing.
Yeah.
And you pretty much, okay, so Flaming Lips played 4 songs. I only remember that they covered Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, but I remember you guys really kind of stole the show. And Jared reminded me that Sierra Farrell, who's becoming a fairly well-known name now, was also there, and he showed me photos. I had no idea. It was pretty much a Greens show for me, because I hadn't seen you guys in a couple years at that point. It was, you guys played way more than the other acts. What was it like performing in that basement that night?
That was pretty awesome. I mean, the whole thing was a surreal, very, very dreamlike experience. The whole story is this whole, it could be another whole episode, but we were the local talent, and these guys, I mean, I think it came from a Twitter post where some 18-year-old girl was like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if Flaming Lips played my 18th birthday party, and Wayne Coyne being I would just love to have the power and the ability to do that. He said, you know what, we will kick ass and play your 18th birthday party in this random town in West Virginia, and
make somebody's life like,
you know what.
Yeah, and in just one fell swoop of just showing up and being you. That's crazy.
And it was so weird because the house party this thing took place was, I used to hang out in that neighborhood. In fact, it was next door to a friend of mine named Brad, who lived like 2 houses down from that. So we pull up with our equipment and unload our equipment, and there's this tour bus looking like a spaceship where I grew up. It was absolutely dreamlike. And I've had dreams that are like stuff like that, but that really happened as far as I know.
Yep.
And Wayne Coyne coming down the street looking like a conquering hero, and then we set up and played and hung out with Flaming Lips. They were just in there doinking around, playing the funky piano, and actually played bongos with them with their sound check. And Wayne Coyne played my guitar for their set.
Man, that's awesome. I'm getting to see them for the first time this summer. Jared and I are going to go see, it's Weezer doing the entire Blue album in its entirety, Flaming Lips, and freaking Dinosaur Jr. all on the same bill.
That is exquisite.
Yeah. I wouldn't be as excited to see Weezer if it wasn't for them playing that the entire my childhood in one whole set, basically.
You have to destroy the sweater,
Oh yeah.
But back to that, it was just, and that's the thing that we do, that we've been lucky to do, is just, not all the time, but in those times where it's just like right place, right time, right people, right thing, and the energy in there was just stupid. Yeah. I mean, I remember we had our green jumpsuits at the time, and there, it was a Halloween party, so everybody was flamboyant, and it was one of those things that definitely, you want to do more of, but you take it when it comes.
Yeah. For anybody who hasn't been to a Green show or is checking you guys out for the first time, at least back in the day, you guys were the Aquabats of the Mid-Ohio Valley. You came out in your green jumpsuits, and you had white headbands, correct? Am I thinking correctly?
Well, I should have. Ben always had the headgear. I can't put anything on my head because it falls off. I'd love to wear hats on stage and glasses, but I can't.
Yeah.
Because my neck's too spastic.
You sweat a lot too.
Yeah, and the sweatband would have been good. I should have probably do sweatbands or bandanas, but it's just when they put the guitar on, you hit standby in your amp, it's go time.
What is okay? So you've done a lot of weird things on stage. You make a lot of faces. You do a lot of weird gyrations, I guess.
That's
what is the something horrible that's happened? Have you ever flung your guitar and hit something? Have you ever pulled a muscle on your back mid show? Because you're all over the place.
I injured myself pretty regularly. Well, there was like at one point I don't know if I did it on purpose or not. Just in the moment, you're not really you're very present physically, but your mental state is like in a they talk about these brainwave states where like you're in your regular alpha state where you're like, I'm walking the dog and I'm looking at the trees, and then there's this other, and then you're right before you go to sleep is like beta waves or something. There's this other brainwave state where it's like, you're there, I don't know what you call that. But that's how I find myself a lot of times when I'm playing, is just I'm there, but I'm somewhere else, but I'm also there,
It's a dreamlike state. Yeah. I've never really gotten there as as a mostly solo performer.
Yeah.
You don't really get
right.
that. So you, for
nail the song.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I feel things, but I don't. And I was also a face maker, and I've lost my glasses to the floor on many a show trying to like raise an eyebrow, and it ends up being both eyebrows, and then boom, there they go. For many years, you did this thing called Turkey Day with Tuck. We've been to a few. I tried to go every year that they were happening. Has that been a continuing thing, or did that stop around the pandemic?
That still happens. We still do. Like we talked about, the bars in Parkersburg are really non-existent to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So what we've been fortunate to do is Tyler down there at the Worthington Golf Club basically lets us have the room for the last probably maybe 7-8 years. We've only played in Parkersburg and maybe once or twice a year anymore, which is what it is. But he lets us have free reign of the Worthington Golf Club, like, banquet hall or whatever you want to call it.
The last time I saw you was at that place, and for a solo show, you had, I mean, there was nowhere to even stand. Like, you were on top of people getting in that place, and it's not a small. I mean, it's kind of small, but I mean, it is I've DJ'd weddings there. It's big enough to do an entire family wedding, and you up there solo packed these people to where we were on top of each other the entire night. It's a sight to see, and I'm glad to see that it's continued. Because you never know when the pandemic hit. I mean, a lot of things changed as far as people wanting to be that close to each other and whatnot. And personally, for me, I have 4 kids and the business. And if I get sick, the ship sinks, the the doors close, that kind of thing. So I have to. I'm not like paranoid, but I'm paranoid to the sense that I understand my sense of responsibility these days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's get off that topic. I want to talk about fun, happy things. Take me through the writing process for you. When you're writing a new song, so for me, I was telling Mullen this earlier today during my interview with him, that I would just either get drunk or high back in the day and hit record and play whatever riff that I have came up with, and just start singing whatever, and then piece it together later, like go back and listen to it, the 27-minute ramblings, and then piece together a song. Sometimes I wrote differently, but most of the time that's how my songs were written. How do you piece together your work?
That's a great question. I'm sitting here holding my phone, and I got 800 or some, voice memos. I'm not a technical person. I that's a shortcoming. I get so enthusiastic about, again, the creative process that, I never bother to, learn how to really do good recording. I just pay somebody to do it who knows what they're doing. Whenever it's time to make a new record, I just pay somebody, I just save the money up and, let somebody else who knows what they're doing, rather than agonize over every snare hit and click track and things. But, I think, like I said, it's never a formula, but generally it's like you get an idea, whether it's twofold. So there's things that are happening on guitar, which is, what I mainly use to write songs. So there's things happening on guitar, riffs and things. And then there is the lyrics, which, topical, writing about something or not, it's just very open. I don't really have an approach other than just catch it while it's there. So putting songs together, though, you kind of marry the music with the lyrics. It's, people have been doing it for a long, long time. It's just, you get an idea that it might be hanging around and doesn't have really where to go. And then all of a sudden you're, dropping the kids off at school, and you're like, oh man, I got cold beers in the refrigerator. I'm going to drink them sooner or later. Just little snappy little lines like that. And so
your voice memos are filled up. That's what I used to do as well, is the voice memo feature on the iPhone. And or sometimes I would use the notes feature if I couldn't talk and I was in a place where I could
Right.
at least write it down. Even if it's just a line, a verse, a name, something and that is also,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you would just kind of build off of that once you're in a
Correct.
space where you can stop and actually focus.
Correct. And then that's just really a continuation of what I've been doing since I started writing my first song, when I was 15, which is called Probation Sucks. Won't get into that. But I had a little handheld cassette tape recorder, and I would fill up 90-minute cassette tapes, and I had up until 2018 or whatever. I mean, I have hundreds of cassettes. Most of it's just filler, but there's always one or two songs that stay, and those are the ones that you want. You don't have to worry about reading the words off it. You don't have to remember the chord changes. It's like jumps fully formed from your head.
Yeah. I was checking out your discography on Spotify before you called, and it looks like 2016 was the last time you released an album. It's called the Killer Double album, and
That's 2016.
yeah, well, that's what it says here on the old Spotify. It may be an entry error, but yeah, it says 20 songs, 2016 Killer Double album.
That's that was our best. That's our masterwork that we spent. So recording that was different than we'd had done. So the first, for Fruition, your favorite, was recorded with Robert Bowers at Squirrel Sound in Morgantown, and that was with our saxophone player who we just saw over Christmas. It was a nice reunion. We had him up on stage for a couple
did
songs.
Anybody get any YouTube video clips or anything?
Someone should have, but I don't know.
Man.
And then so that was, we did that with them, and then Aaron, shortly after that, he was, he's only in the Greens for a couple years, but it was formative, so founding member.
Yeah.
But and then he left and moved. He had his priorities all screwed up. He went to Berkeley to study organic chemistry.
Oh my goodness, what's wrong with him? America.
Yeah, right. And so the show must go on. So we continued as a 3-piece, and then from there, when we did the album called 3, we did everything with Mark Poole. We did 3. We did Broken Science 1, 2, 3. We did Rock Saga, and we did Songs for People with Mark Poole, who I love and always want to work with. That's who I just did my last solo record with, an 18 strings record with too. But back to Killer, we went over to Tommy Bailey, who's the drummer for Fletcher's Grove, and he has a studio in Morgantown. And that's the only time that we've not necessarily agonized, but really focused on, just about every note. We wanted it to be exactly right. So with Mark, and it's nothing bad to say about Mark, it's just how our approach was. We would just, like I said, we get a batch of songs and we document them because those are the songs that were new at that time. So it wouldn't, no overdubs, just live in the studio, banging out 3-piece rock band, maybe a guitar solo overdub here and there, but generally just raw, live, as if it would be live. And that's how we recorded until that Killer Double album, which was a little bit more involved, a little more intensive recording process. It took a long time to get that, but I like both approaches. I like doing it both ways.
I been using the Killer Double album in the store for many purposes. Since we advertised that you're coming to the store, it doubles as, not only is it my second favorite album now, mainly because of repetition. I have literally played this thing like I was at Sears and it was Christmas time and you hear the same 20 songs on a loop. The fact that it is 20 songs and it saves me from having to stop either working or dealing with customers to put on a different album. But it is so, it is so good. How long did it take you to write such it is 20 songs. I'm trying to see if it has like a total album song length here. Let me click on the actual thing here. It says 1 hour and 21 minutes. 1 hour and 21 minutes.
Yeah.
That is insane for an album. Most albums are anywhere between 35 and 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is that, it had been 5 years, I think, since we did or maybe it was 2013. So maybe 3 or 4 years since we did the last one. And then that one was kind of a double album too, because we did Songs for People, and then we did Rock Saga, which was all instrumental pretty much. So that was 4 or 5 years of stuff that had never had a home. That was not necessarily like B tracks, but just like there was really a combination of old material, then we re-recorded it, or gave it a new treatment.
Yeah.
Come here, Ruby. Come here. Or I'm walking my dog.
Oh.
Or brand new stuff that had just been written. There's a couple songs that I didn't have lyrics to until it was time to go record the lyrics. I was like, well, got to write something. Cloud Cover was like that. I wrote the lyrics pretty much in the studio.
Let's go into the song called The Greens. You actually wrote a song called The Greens. And I love that because other bands sometimes make a nod to their band name in a song, like Counting Crows mention Counting Crows in a song, but you wrote a song with that in the title. Tell me a little bit about that track.
Well, that was actually one of the first songs I ever wrote. I was probably maybe 17 or 18, and in my youthful enthusiasm, we talked about the kids. The kids have enthusiasm, but in my youthful enthusiasm, the approach was like, so you had the blues, right? And I was going to say, we're going to make a whole new music genre, right? We're going to take stuff from the blues, but it's like next door to the blues on the color wheel. And so, it wasn't really the blues, but it wasn't, I guess it would be blues-based rock, because blues is, what's the quote? Blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. So, all rock and roll had some nod to the blues. But so I'm 19 or something, and I say, I'm going to make a whole new music genre. Like Bill Monroe made bluegrass, and Miles Davis did fusion, and I'm going to do the Greens.
The Greens.
So
I like that.
It was based on the song The Greens became the band name. Band names are so tough. You have to call it something. It's color. It's simple. It's almost too simple. It's almost like forgettable. But
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not only is it easy marketing, it's I mean, you could do so much with it. And like you said, the green jumpsuits. You don't have to. You may not recognize the song if you walk into a bar and you don't know who's playing, and you don't recognize the song. If you see 3 guys jumping around in green jumpsuits and they say that their name is the Greens, you're like, no shit.
Well, yeah,
There they are. I like it.
Yeah, and that came from the whole idea of, just doing something different. Obviously we're not, Captain Beefheart or Sonic Youth or something who really does something that no one else had really done before. Synthesizing things, but we took, or I took, my influences, which were strong. Your classic rock, your Hendrix, your Zappa, your Zeppelin, your Allman Brothers, and did my own thing with it. It's where, heavily influenced by it. It's like my approach to that kind of thing was like, again, the idea was to write a song that, say, The Who could have recorded but didn't, like, or a song that slipped through the cracks on a Grateful Dead album that's never, you know what I mean? Like, that's the approach, is like to kind of write or perform in the same vein as basically classic rock, that stuff.
All right, I got a good analogy. You are the Boris the Spider of the Who catalog. Yes. I love that analogy, because you write such a creative, kind of oddball lyrics. And so I'm gonna scroll over here to my favorite album. Like I said, is Fruition, because that was the one I pretty much grew up on. Gotta go back here. Down to the very bottom, all the way back to the year of 2004. I was 2 years out of high school. The songs are entitled Beekeeper, Psychedelic Sky, Pain Pills, Flying Solo, which I put on every play mix that I share with people that when they are like, give me 20 songs on a playlist of to try to show your personality in a playlist. That Flying Solo,
that's your jam.
Oh my God, it is. Tide Turds Again is another favorite. And then you end the album with We're Never Having Sex Again. which is
country.
It's a humdinger of a country ballad. It is your Piss Up a Rope by Ween.
Right. No, and genre is so fun. It's like every genre in the world has been done, but there's never been a, you know, a calypso Irish drinking song about sex written by me. You know, there's always something that you can hit that not necessarily hasn't been done, but that you haven't done. You know, and make it make it interesting. You know, it's just even if you're to play a song that's a G, C, and D, you know, and you put a little flatted fifth in there or something, that's what makes things interesting to me.
Four chords and the truth. 4 chords and the truth.
Right.
You know, like I told Moon Mullen this earlier today, not every band and song needs to reinvent the wheel or have some important life-altering meaning to it. Songs are allowed to be fun because at the end of the day, music is an escape, not only for the people writing it, but it's an escape from our mundane lives, and also brings us to a separate plane where we'll have memories of stuff just by hearing a song or seeing an album cover that we haven't thought of in 30, 40, 50 years. Nothing else besides music, because it's in a different part of your brain, can that happen. So not every song has to be a Stairway to Heaven for it to be a masterpiece.
Nor should it, because, you know, I mean, even Led Zeppelin, you know, if you take them, like you said, they're you know, their classic rock masterpiece. I mean, not to say they had throwaway tracks, but like, you know, they had songs that were just like, you know what, we need another song. Let's write a song about a candy store or you know, whatever.
Yep.
You know,
then you got bands like Cream and Who. They had everybody has those kind of filler tracks to, you know, the obligation tracks to fill up the B-side of an album, or, you know,
and they become fun. And those are the ones that are like, yeah, I love Boris's Part. It's my favorite song.
It is. It's another one that's on most of my playlists these days. Right. I love how unique it is. Absolutely.
It's just so fun to go deep. You know, like my favorite things to listen to, my favorite things, like you know, I'm listening is a track from Greg Allman, who I've you know, but I've never, like, the Joy of Discovery, I think is really strong. I like new things.
Mm-hmm. So you guys are coming down here and playing in well, this will air on Wednesday, so this coming Friday you're going to be playing. We're going to have you in from 7 to 9, and I assume you're going to have your merch with you.
Yes. That reminds me, we were talking about albums and discography.
Yeah.
We do have another one that's called Power Plant, and it's only on vinyl.
I was going to ask you, that was where I was leading to. I was going to ask if you've ever put out anything on vinyl, because I am dying to have some greens on vinyl in my collection.
Yeah, I will definitely. I'll bring you a whole box of them. You can do what you will with them. But that was, you know, again, we're not. Somebody has to do this stuff or it doesn't get done. But I am just not a business, marketing, promotional type minded person, you know. And I think we kind of sell ourselves short, or don't maybe do enough. Like, my metaphor for that is like, you know, my creative muscle is this big Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, bicep, but my marketing muscle is like little wimpy little stick arm, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's not on Spotify. I did not know that. See, that's some of the stuff is I kind of lucky to have Ben, the bass player, and Nathan help with that. You know, actually putting the CDs, you know, out. So I guess we only did it on vinyl. So we'll bring those. But that was in 20. That was a COVID. I died on the vine from COVID. You know, never really got to be plucked, but yeah, so we'll have that, and I guess we should put that on Spotify because it's, you know, it's solid. If you've never heard that, well, we got to change that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that one existed. Absolutely. And something else I was going to ask you off stream, but I mean, I'll just kind of throw it out there. Obviously, you're not going to answer me live right now, but the album Fruition, like I said, it's top 20 for me, and like, if I made 100 favorite songs of all, or albums of all time, it would be in my top 20.
That's cool. I appreciate that. You know, it's nice to have that validation.
Yeah. But I want to be the one to put it out on vinyl for you guys. I want to find a way to make it financially feasible. If that can happen, let me know. If you're interested in that, we'll talk about it at another time. I just wanted to throw it out there that album means so much to me that I would go beyond to the end of the stars and back to get it on vinyl, because like I said, I'm still rocking my original CD.
You know, we should remaster it, you know, because there's some elements on there. Like I compared I compared the studio production of that one was more kind of Steely Dan, kind of a slick, polished sound. And then, after everything after that's been more, Black Sabbath or White Stripes is kind of banging out some raw tracks in the garage.
Well, you don't want to do you don't want to end up like a Nick Drake and drive yourself crazy trying to make every note like the perfect everything.
Right.
Like he drove himself crazy in the studio trying to he overcomplicated something that was already perfect that he just didn't realize was perfect.
Right. And you have to let the babies go out into the world,
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have loved. We actually wanted really badly to not do a killer double album because a double vinyl would be like $4,000 or something. But
well, they make things nowadays that it's all crowdfunding. You give perks for people like the vinyl. It'll be going a special color and autographed, and the album doesn't get made unless you sell X amount of copies in the 30-day prepay period kind of thing. That way you're not out anything.
What we did. That's exactly what we did with Power Plant. Is we did GoFundMe or Kickstarter, one of those, and did the donation list, and everybody who contributed X got this, and everybody contributed Y. So that was something that came across our radar. When it came across our radar, it could have, we probably should have or could have or would have done that with Killer Double album, because the artwork on that done by Brian Pickens is pretty great.
Yeah, I've been sitting there staring at it the entire time we've been talking, pretty much. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't see it, it's basically a all green cover with the band, and it's like a Wheaties box, but it looks. What are you putting in your mouth?
It's psychedelic as hell.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I know. Brian's the guy. He's done. Let's see. He did that one. I think he did 18 Strings album, and he just recently did the Power Forward logo, which is a whole nother conversation. We could go on and on.
I do want to briefly talk about Power Forward. This is a podcast exclusive. We've already booked the date for you guys to come in with your new band, which is a more, what you can explain it, but it's more of like a funk fusion sound. Is there new players on it? And we have you guys coming in this summer.
Yes. It's the best stuff. It's new. We actually get to get, the Greens we're I don't even see Nathan or Ben until we play a show, like, because they live in Parkersburg there, and I'm in Morgantown, and we never get to hang out because we all got, we each have 2 kids and this, but Power Forward is really a new and exciting creative, outlet for stuff that is not green. It's not the Greens. We got a keyboard player, we got a percussion player. We did have horns, but the one guy hurt his mouth really bad and had to stop playing trumpet. And then in Morgantown, you see people come and go because they're, we have a saxophone player, but he was like 21 and he moved to Baltimore, I think, after he graduated. So we had horns and we had this big, 7-piece band at one point, and then so now it's down to 5-piece. But it's really fun. Again, it's just like, I would call it, Appalachian funkadelic.
You're going to be the George Clinton of Appalachia.
Yeah, man. It's like I'm right. It's new personnel. And with the drummer for Power Forward, I was in a band around 2004 or 5, just hanging out, friends getting together and hanging out, and it was 3BW, 3 brothers and a white dude, and I was a white dude, and I played bass, and that was just fun. And then the drummer Vashon, he has his kids have now graduated, so he's an empty nester. So I was like, now can we be in a band? And he's like, yeah.
Nice.
So so it really it was one of those things that happened organically, and it's been really fun and reinventing what I do, and actually getting together once a week and actually practicing and collaborating. The bass player is his name's Corwin. He used to play in a band called Culture Thief, and he is really integral to the songs. I hadn't in the Greens. It's like I never tell Nathan or Ben what to play because why would the guitar player tell the drummer what to do with the drums? but at the same time, I had all arrangements and all, chords and lyrics and things. It was pretty much, what I did. But with this, like, I never had a band before where the guy's like, well, but I don't like that. What if we did this 4 times? And I was like, okay. There's like somebody telling me no
Yeah.
is eye-opening, but also invigorating because, having someone else with a strong opinion or a, forceful musical input it's neat. It's fun to work in a way that's different, and it's new, and it's we're actually in the studio right now making a second record.
Oh, really? Okay, sweet.
So and I'll bring the Power Forward one obviously on when we play in August, but it's super great. It's I won't say it's the best thing I've ever done, but it's definitely the best new thing I've ever done.
Is writing for a band that isn't the Greens different lyrically than it is for writing for the Greens?
It very much is because, again, with the sort of the genre, the funk soul, what I would call, without getting too controversial, but what I would call, my tribute and my love of black music, frankly. And so, instead of, lyrically, musically it's riffs and interesting parts, it's, I would say it's like riff-based funk. Kind of like, the idea was like, Bitches Brew, Band of Gypsies, a lot of funkadelic, not necessarily Parliament as much, but funk, that's like Maggot Brain type stuff.
That's in my top 20 all time as well, Maggot Brain.
There you go. Yes, and that's the idea that I want to do a band that's like Led Zeppelin and Miles Davis. Like with the Bitches Brew. Yeah, that's the concept that I'm going for. And
those are some big shoulders to stand on right there.
At least my my take on that. But so getting back to the lyrics, making there's we want to party and we want to tell the truth. Like in hip hop, there was two schools of lyrics in hip hop, which is one was kick game, right, which is how awesome you are and how fun life is, right? And then there's drop science, which is to tell the truth about the world and kind of social commentary. So I try to kick game and drop science.
You've just tripled my excitement in 2 minutes for this upcoming show. What did we talk about? August for First Friday, is that right? Or okay.
Yes, correct. August 2nd, I believe. Yep.
And is it going to be all 5 of you?
Yeah, yep. It's that's been established as the core group, and that's another fun thing is in the Greens it's a 3-piece band, so I do all chording and all soloing and all filling of the notes. So there's a keyboard player, and he's a guitar player that has played key. I mean he knows what he's doing on the keys, but for that it's just like I get to have a little bit of an input as to what I like to hear from keyboards, which, when this song needs an organ, this song needs a Rhodes, and this song needs a, wah-wah pedal clavinet, that and all that. So it's really expanded the sound, and we got an extra percussion player. So it's basically the Greens in terms of me writing the material. It's basically like the Greens, but augmented, and, I don't know, not necessarily evolving, but taking a left into the funk soul rock vein.
When you're playing with the new band, now that you have new material, all new group of guys, do you feel 20 years old again?
Yes, I feel like every time we get together and we rehearse, I'm like, this is what I did in high school, and it was awesome then, and this is what I'm doing as a grown-ass man, and it's awesome now. So it's like it's a continuation of the joy of creation, the looking around and seeing that everyone has either got their eyes closed and is zoned out or looking right at me and smiling and grinning and on their head. And it's just so, it's a powerful thing to create something with other people in a we all bring our own, tastes and abilities and flavors and like limitations, because the drummer is not going to play a big 42-minute long drum solo. You know, he said, I just want to keep the beat going while you guys go off and do whatever the hell you want to do. And then so he's just holding down, he's just holding that down, and that enables us to, do our thing. And so it's really exciting. I'm super, super happy to have another new project that is going somewhere. And the name Power Forward came from the Green song Power Forward, but it came because the Greens can't commit as much as we had in the past, the other guys. But my wife understands, so she's like, "Do you need another band?" Like, yes.
I just feel like you're in that small group of people that just have an unlimited amount of and need to just put stuff out into the universe. I feel the same way, but I shifted from music into my store, and like every week I'm coming up with a new ideas here, new event here. This podcast is literally, I'm not making a dime off of these. This is literally just a passion project, something for me to put something creative out into the universe. So I feel that kinship big time. We can smell our own. I don't feel like you're ever going to stop until you literally are just like ready to be done. And
physically cannot. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to go ahead and call it a show. I do want to say that I am thankful and humbled for you to come down and for your friendship all these years, and for I love your music. I'm a super fan, and I plan on having staff at the store so I don't have to be the one at the register, so I can hopefully
Woogie.
Feel 20. Yeah, hopefully I can feel 20 again myself, because it's been a long time since I felt anything but 40.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. That's why I keep doing. That's why I'm pretty sure, I have a hunch that's why like Ozzy Osbourne and Keith Richards are still alive at all. It's because that there's some element of 20 still within there.
Well, I hear it from all my old customers, all my old dogs that come in. They say, as soon as you stop, you die. You got to keep doing what you're doing, or as soon as you retire and as soon as you sit down, you're never getting back up. So just keep on.
I fully subscribe to that idea of just do your thing, man. Don't with the whole slogan is like, do all you can with what you have to work with. If you have 20 weekends a year, then make the most out of those. Blue. Sorry, I just got home talking to my kid. We got a flag football game. But this has been great. Thank you for indulging in my ramblings, and we'll definitely come bring the A game on Friday, man.
I cannot wait. To say I'm excited is an understatement. So I look forward to very much seeing you guys pull in when you show up to First City Records this coming Friday. They're going to be live from 7 to 9 at First City Records at 166 Front Street in downtown Marietta. Come and enjoy all the festivities from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. all downtown. It is considered the Kentucky Derby month. They're calling it the Kentucky Derby. So hopefully people show up downtown with bowler caps and derbies and whatever. I do have to tell you, though, that we do have this is going to be a catered event. I have my favorite food truck in town, Jimmy Avocados, and he's working on a special green exclusive taco-based something just for you guys for one night only. It's going to be an exclusive item. So if you're in the tacos and food trucks, we're going to have something exclusive just for this night. So make sure to be there from 7 to 9 with Jimmy Avocados and the Greens. Tuck, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in just a couple days, my friend.
I love it. Hey, buddy, thank you so much, man. We'll look forward to it.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Good night. See you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Andy Tuck, Mr. Tuck himself of the Greens. I could have talked to him for hours and hours and hours and picked his brain. We didn't even really get into his influences or anything like that. We just pretty much talked about the Greens, the current scene, and how it is becoming a dad in music and keeping things fresh and exciting. Going to take a short detour and going to talk to Miss Jennifer Tinkler, Jen Tinkler of Marietta Main Street, the face who runs the downtown place that helps put on all of our events downtown and helps organize all of these First Friday events Going to talk to her just momentarily about the events coming up in May for downtown Marietta, so you guys are in the know, starting with information about this first Friday, 2 days away from now. The Derby is the theme. Take it away, Jen Tinkler. All right, we are back, and we're sitting down with Jen Tinkler, Marietta Main Street, for our monthly update on what is happening for First Friday on downtown Marietta. That's coming up this Friday, just 2 days away. Welcome, Ms. Jen, and let's get into First Friday.
All right, it's we're doing the Marietta Derby theme this year, and kind of play on the Kentucky Derby that's happening.
All right, so the theme this month is Kentucky Derby related. The Derby is also happening this weekend, and looking to do a wear your Derby hats downtown if you have one. And there is something going on in the Armory.
Yeah, Lux Parties and Picnics will be set up on the Armory lawn, and they are doing a hat judging contest. So you'll go with your hat, and they'll take a picture, and we'll do an informal voting, and then we'll determine the winner that way. So it's just more prestige than prize.
I love that. That's a good old-timey classic downtown Americana. That's what happened last week or the week before when they turned on Earth Day, when we turned the bridge and watched. I was down there for that, and just seeing the amount of people just cheering and clapping and just watching, and it made you feel like you were there 100 years ago. Like it just there's just some things about downtown Marietta that you can't get anywhere else, and just the thrill of watching a bridge turn. People were hooting and hollering and cheering.
Oh yeah.
It was so, like, I don't know. I didn't need my cell phone in my hand for 5 minutes, and it felt cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So a Derby contest. I like that. Is there anything else other than First Friday coming up this month of May that we should let our listeners know about?
Yeah. On May 18th, we have our wine and chocolate walk.
I'm so excited for that one.
Are you?
Yes.
Good. We'll have 10 wine stops, 10 chocolate stops around town. You know, you'll come to the Armory, pick up your wristband and all your swag, and we'll give you your little passport, for lack of a better word, and you'll go to each spot, and they'll click your ticket. It'll be a lot of fun.
I haven't decided. Well, I left it open to you guys if First City Records is going to be a wine stop or a chocolate stop, kind of whichever one you needed filled. I'm good with either way, but I'm hoping I have some help in the store that day so I can walk around, at least take part of with the festivities, if you will.
Yes.
Because that's something extremely unique, and I'm excited to see how, you know, the other thing that we did a few months ago, where you had the tours of buildings and things like that. Just seeing the amount of people that walk downtown to be part of just going through the buildings and getting some guided tours and just like getting to see the history. This is just another one of those awesome examples of things that doesn't happen in other towns in our area. So it's extremely unique to us. And I love that. Is there anything else going on in May?
We'll have our cash mob the third Tuesday of May. I don't off the top of my head know what date that is, but it's always the third Tuesday of the month. Okay. So, you know, we meet over at Gateway Park across from Middle Ohio Valley Employment, and we've predetermined where we're going, and we'll just go and we'll shop. All
right. So everybody come on downtown to check out everybody on First Friday this coming week of the Derby theme. Come on downtown, and we're going to send it back to the studio. Hope to see everybody this weekend. Thank you, Miss Jennifer, for coming in and talking to us.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you very much, Jen, as always, for coming into the store and talking to me about upcoming events in this town. So proud to be part of this community, if you couldn't already tell. But coming up next, our main event, if you will, my first interview with former Mayor Mullen, old hippie, still an old hippie. And he has a big show that he's promoting that is a fundraiser for the Humane Society. And I think Moon is one of those guys that if I would just let him talk, we could have had a 4 or 5 hour show. We probably could have gotten in trouble if we had some beers in front of us. I don't know, but he was a pleasure. I absolutely loved every second of it, and I hope to not only have him coming in for the First City sessions, but also just to pick his brain yet again. So make sure to stick around. It is an hour long of chatting with former mayor, local celebrity, Mr. Moon Mullins. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to First City Studios at First City Podcast. I'm sitting down with former Mayor Mullen. Surprisingly enough, he showed up at my doorstep the other day as I was getting ready to open the store and was handing me a flyer for an upcoming event that he's going to be a part of. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, along with some other things. And I did a poll a while back on my personal page, and I asked people who in town is interesting that they would like to see me interview. Several people said, you need to find Moon. So I'm happy that you kind of stumbled upon me, and welcome in Moon Mullen.
Hey, Aaron, thanks. Great to be here, and to see you. What you're doing here on Front Street is my roots are lifelong Marietan, and now we live in town, grow a big flower farm called Moonville Farms. And so this morning, I had to take a shower after rototilling for the first 3 or 4 hours of the day. But, so I'm still alive and well and happy to be with you today and talking about local music and maybe some of the local lore on Front Street. I came down here in 1987 and bought the building next door to you, Aaron. Here, it's 170 Front Street. It's now Over the Moon Pizza, but so in those days we had a small print shop, and we kind of loved Front Street before Front Street got really, really cool. Not to steal too much from Arlo Guthrie, but I think in his Alice's Restaurant he said, he's talking about, well, there were mother rapers and father stabbers and father rapers. And Front Street was not quite that crusty, but it was pretty crusty in those days. There were, Mahone Tire and a couple of...
Was the Lafayette?
Lafayette's been there since, as the Lafayette for, I think that the original hotel, the Bellevue Hotel, burned in 1917. Then they rebuilt it, and then it's been the Lafayette for many years since that. But it was kind of it was kind of crusty down here. Mm-hmm. I remember one day when I first moved in and walking down the street on a Saturday night, and this whole troop of Harleys came down the street. They were having a hog rally in Marietta, the Harley Owners Group. So my girlfriend and I are walking down the street, and there come the Harleys across the sidewalk into what is now Austin's, a fine dining establishment. At that time, it was the Judd's Tavern. And, these bikes, they would come in the front door, burn rubber all the way back through the bar, loop back around and burn them off again as they're going outside. So we, of course, stopped and had a few beers. This just went on all night. But, I guess that's to make the point about the transformation when the public sector puts in money, as I had the opportunity to be part of that as the development director from 1992 to the year 2000. And so, public sector brings projects like the Front Street Revitalization Project, and the private sector comes and things like your store here, Aaron, or, all up and down the street. Mm-hmm. There are very few crusty establishments anymore. And that's okay. Every town's got to have some, some flavor. But it has come a long way since 1987 when I made my home on Front Street.
See, I don't have memories of the way that you're describing. I graduated from Marietta in 2002. You were in the middle of your tenure as mayor, right? During that time frame?
I was mayor from 04 to 12. So
okay.
I was on city council at that point, Aaron. So, I was dabbling from all that I learned at being development director for 8 years. And we really did, spearhead the renaissance of downtown revitalization and investment and starting the river trail and doing some great things. I always had an affinity for other people's money, particularly other government money, and got pretty good at bringing big dollars to Marietta and spending small dollars from the city treasury. So, with a 10% match on something like the Front Street project, we could do $1 million project. So if you've got less than 10%, actually, we got it down to 8% for our city cost. So great use of local funds to make big things happen. And kind of Front Street was the first of those streets, but now, all up and down the historic district and on the Harmer district as well. It has had a great renaissance in the 40 years ago.
Yeah. So we have a lot of different things that we're going to go through today. I feel like maybe we should, to kind of loosen up, I'm going to do some rapid fire music related questions, and then we'll kind of talk about where you began your childhood all the way up through the mayor stuff. And then we'll get into what you've been doing since retirement. I guess you're not really retired. You're doing your flower business, and you're still very much a public figure, and one that people want to know a lot about for some reason. Like I said, I've always kind of known you as the person who kind of brought the arts and entertainment to downtown in Marietta. You were always at the face of that. You were kind of like the person on the mic. So I always assumed that you were a really cool guy because you were obviously the mayor, but also a musician, a business owner, and just somebody that seemed like he really cared about the people. He wasn't a stiff. So very, very, a lot of people have shown interest in wanting to hear from you. So we'll start off with some.
That's really nice for you to say that. That I felt like I was a young hippie, and now I'm an old hippie. But the soul in the right stuff and being raised up on good music like Bob Dylan and some of the things, the old folkies, and I consider myself an old folkie that with the music I do these days, but definitely you dig in the dirt and you swim in the Muskingum River, and no place I'd rather be or rather call home than Marietta, Ohio.
First album you ever remember buying?
It was the original Crosby, Stills and Nash album.
Okay.
And I remember playing it and it just is like opened my life to to that folk rock, that whole genre of great great harmony and influential indeed.
Second question, your first concert experience?
I went to a concert with one of my aunts, and it was Spanky and our gang at Marietta College. And, maybe I was 10 years old, but over the years, Marietta College has been such a great venue for music, seeing things like, the Beach Boys, Fleetwood Mac. I had the great pleasure of getting to book the Allman Brothers in 1981. I was student body vice president at Marietta College in charge of fun, and we
in
did.
Charge of fun. I like that.
Well, crazy enough. One part of the fun was you only had to be 18 to drink beer, so that meant that everybody on campus, you didn't have to hide or go underground or go to a riverbank someplace to have a beer. It was low beer, less than 3.2% alcohol. But it did open up the social opportunities. But the Marietta College gave our social planning board $30,000 to have fun, to do, culture, music, do the arts. And we did, just a myriad of things from, Philadelphia jazz bands to Canadian bagpipe bands. I did a great Irish band, the Dannon, great Scottish band, the Battlefield Band. But the big stuff was when you got to do the Allman Brothers and, see Greg Allman and, Dickie Betts, rest his soul, he was still in the Allman Brothers at that point in time. and it just opened up my musical eyes, and having the opportunities with the venue to see great bands in places like Van Johnson Fieldhouse, and that the other Allman Brothers story is I got to see Allman Brothers when Dwayne was alive. The show that they did at Marietta College was the second to the last that Dwayne Allman did before he got killed on a motorcycle. And that is, some of the memories of seeing great shows as a teenager in Marietta, but nothing like the Allman Brothers doing their whole Live at the Fillmore album as just great musical memories. And I know this is not rapid firing, Aaron, like you thought it might.
That's all right. I have a lot of customers that come in here, like my friend Brian Worstel, who does stuff over at the Moose. He was at a lot of those same concerts. And my friend John Reynolds, who is a postal worker who hangs out here all the time, he has been to a bunch of those concerts. I went to my very first concert up here in Marietta. I was in high school. Completely different style of music, though. It was Three Doors Down, Fuel, and Oleander. I think 21, 22 area. But absolutely. And I love the fact that everywhere you turn now, there's big names coming to this town. And that's all thanks to the Adelphia, People's Bank Theater, formerly the Colony. I remember when that movie, that Bubble movie came, and they were like, some celebrities showed up for the premiere, and it seemed like such a big deal that our small town is finally getting noticed or something like that. But it seems like every weekend now we have Kansas, Old Crow Medicine Show, Uriah Heep, Sax. I mean, amazing musicians now know the name of our town, and they're coming here and performing. And, luckily we're packing the houses pretty much at every one of these things too. So the support is definitely still there.
And seeing them in such a first-class venue as People's Bank Theater, we always knew it as a Colony.
Yeah.
But
Hippodrome.
Well, yeah. I remember going, I think the first time I ever went to the movie there by myself or with a couple buddies, it was Steve McQueen in Bullet. So that puts it, I think, sometime early 60s.
Or early 60s.
I think, okay. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm sure somebody will fact check us here,
or
I'll look that up and say. But great memories of and going to the Putnam Theater across the street, which is now the MOVP, of Ohio Valley Players. But we've had some good gigs, and the ones at Marietta College have just been legendary.
Mm-hmm. Now they have the Esmond Shade series put on by Marietta College at the People's Bank Theater, and that's I think booked with Todd Burge, and I'm pretty sure they, and those are always free claim tickets, and bringing some well-known names and some, it's just all free arts through the grant at the college. So that, they're continuing the tradition through that grant series now. Next rapid fire is going to break your brain. Favorite band or artist?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Allman Brothers.
That was a quick answer. Usually people pause me for 5 minutes while I think.
Well, as I'm looking at your Pink Floyd T-shirt, I'm saying, that's that whole a bit of the psychedelia. I don't know what it is, but it was pretty psychedelic at the time. But that Southern rock and the blues rock, the Skinners, the Allman Brothers, mm-hmm. Blackfoot, the kind of things that you just when you hear that up close and personal, those guitar riffs when Dickie Betts is doing In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, something pretty damn special. Oh, and you mentioned our buddy Brian. Well, but you don't call him Chunga, Aaron?
He's told me stories and he's called himself that. I think he's brought that up before. I've heard that, but no, I don't call him that. He sells records here, Shindig Records. He's one of my earliest consigners since the day we began, and nice to see him back up on his feet after his recent bouts with some issues, physical health issues, and proud to still have him as a consignor in my shop.
Well, and I'm proud to be a classmate,
Oh.
graduate of 1973 in Marietta, Ohio. So Chungo was one of
Big
those
Chungo.
boys, and we did live pretty large for being small town cats in Marietta, Ohio.
He has one of those photographic memories. Every time he was in here yesterday or the day before, I don't know what I had for breakfast, but he hears a song and he can say, this person played this solo. I saw them back in 1963 at this place at this time, and he was wearing this collar shirt. Like he just is such a wealth of knowledge. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but because like I said, I don't even know what I did yesterday, so I kind of wish I had his memory, but at the same time, it could also be considered a curse to have that much that you need to get out at all times.
He is one good vinyl dude, man.
Yeah. He's definitely somebody I go to when I need to find out which pressing things are, because he can just look at something and just kind of, I have to do research. He just knows. Yeah, he's a savant, if you will. All right, now, we wanted to keep it all positive, but I did throw in one kind of negative question: style of music that you either dislike or that you just don't listen to.
Well, it's hard for me to listen to disco or, maybe the urban stuff that is there's not blues roots, but you kind of listen to what you were raised up on, and I remember my dad, as we were driving across the country, 5 kids in a Mercury station wagon, headed to my grandparents in Reno, Nevada, and he stops at the truck stop and gets a Doc Watson 8-track and Earl Scruggs and the stuff that is just kind of formative to me in that real folk rock kind of place. But to think about that, the Circle Beyond Broken album, which you mentioned. Well, you didn't mention the Dirt Band, but the Dirt Band is played here.
They did. And we have a couple copies of that album, and I didn't know that was Nitty Gritty because the cover kind of doesn't immediately scream Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. But we put that on. I was like, every song on this, I know. I didn't know that I knew, but I knew.
Well, it had every classic, Nashville, old timey, from the Carter family, but they interspersed it with Johnny McEwen and the Dirt Band, and brought just the best of the who's who in country and kind of bluegrass there. So what a classic album, or classic 3 albums, and how many times I've got a copy of it, but my the grooves are not still alive and well that I could ever pull that out and play it other than for nostalgic purposes.
Yeah. Last one of the rapid fires, Desert Island album, an album that you know every lyric to, that you could listen to forever if you had to.
Well, I have a hard time even pulling off every lyric of the albums that I've done.
Same here.
But that, I'm going to go back to the Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
The original one.
Yeah, just Sweet Judy Blue Eyes and Marrakesh Express and those things, that every one of those songs just elicits a memory or a good vibe.
Yeah, my wife's name is Judy, and I often listen to that song, and obviously it goes straight to her. So
good.
Yeah, there's a few good songs with the name Judy in it. She walked down the aisle to the Trillium Trio. They're good friends of ours, and they graced us with their presence on our wedding. And she did "Hey Jude" on the cello. It was a magical moment for my life, and great song as well. So
good stuff here.
We're going to take a short little break, and then we will be back, and we'll talk a little bit about life as a mayor and life after mayorhood. And then we have information coming up here momentarily about the songwriter series going on at the Lafayette here for a fundraiser that they're putting on here in just a few weeks. So stick around, and we will be back momentarily. your source for all local music, apparel, and all things music related in downtown Marietta is at firstcityrecordstore.com. Most of our inventory is live online now, so check out firstcityrecordstore.com, your number one source for new and used vinyl, CDs, cassettes, and more.
Well, maybe I'll take a steamboat. Baby, maybe I'll take a plane. When I'm going to Marietta on the midnight train, there's a special kind of people, special kind of place, special kind of smile on your neighbor's face. My kind of town on the banks of the Ohio. My kind of town where them big old steamboats go. My kind of town where the folks call you by name, and we do love apple pie, mom and baseball games, and it's a great place to live and work and play. Marietta, Ohio, USA. It's a place that I call home. Nowhere in this whole wide world that I'd rather be from. There's a special kind of people. It's a special kind of place. Special kind of smile on your neighbor's face. My kind of town on the banks of the Ohio. My kind of town where those big old steamboats go. My kind of town where the folks call you by name, and we do love apple pie, mom and baseball game, and it's a great place to live and work and play. Marietta, Ohio, USA. Marietta, Ohio, USA. 45750.
All right, we are back with Moon Mullen. That was his song, Going to Marietta. So let's talk about this new show that you got coming up here. The Lafayette Hotel presents the Songwriter Series on Friday, May 17th. Songwriters in the round. Take it away and let's just talk a little bit about this upcoming event and what the fundraiser's for.
Well, we've been having a really good run over the last year. After I sold the Over the Moon Pizza a few years back, I lost my place to have a gig. My wife, never kicked me out for playing music in the club, and now she works for the Lafayette, and so got a good connection there, and so we've been doing these songwriter shows. Songwriter in the Round, which is great fun because you get a great variety of regional music. I think I first saw that concept, 30, 40 years ago at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. And, they three people and you sing a song, tell a story, get the back, the root of that. And nice, intimate, small setting in the gun room. So we've done 6 of those over the course of the last year. So every couple months, it gives me some juice, and have had great local songwriters on this show. I think local connection, but we've got Joe Wharf, who's from Richmond, Virginia, and his son Jack Wharf. They've got local connections, obviously. The Wharf's WMOA radio, and Joe has played in Marietta numerous times with his band. It's called the Slack Family Band, and great music. They played the Sternwood Festival 3 times, and multiple times. Joe graduated 1983 from Marietta. Me being 73, and you a little bit later, Aaron.
Just a little.
But Joe's a great guy. Their band was voted the best bluegrass band in Virginia in 2017, and Joe was invited to the IBMA, the International Bluegrass Music Association, for his songwriting. And then his son Jack is 20 years old and doing really incredible stuff with his band called Tobacco Flats. So last year I saw Joe in town and said, hey, sometime when you want to come to town and you're doing family things, let's set it up and we'll do one of these songwriter series. So it's going to be Friday, May 17th, 8 p.m. And Joe Wharf, Jack Wharf, and myself, we're going to tell a few stories and sing a few songs, and we may have some special guests that come. And but it's a benefit for the Humane Society of the Ohio Valley, which is, over the years we've had the pleasure of trying to do some fundraisers for the dogs and cats. And so that's one of these. It really is a fundraiser, but it's a food raiser. If you want to bring a large bag of Purina dog or cat chow, please do, because the donation, we ask for $10 donation, but it really would be fabulous, because if you bring a big bag of dog food, that's way more than $10.
Oh yeah. And we have a big dog, and I know that they can get a little pricey. We will put up on the First City Podcast Facebook page what items that they are looking for if you didn't want to make a cash donation, so you guys can see which ones to actually go out and buy, because I know there's a million different options when you get to the store. So
they do Purina for consistency, because everybody knows it, and any the rescues at the shelter, the consistency of having the same food over and over is a good thing. But
it's good for the dog's digestion too, because when you change the dog's diet, you never know what could happen on the front or the back.
It's not going to go well.
No,
but
never does.
We've got a big old half black lab, half pit bull that we got from the shelter. She's 13 years old now, so we got her when she was a pup. But it just, once you have a shelter dog, for me, there's no other way to do it. But Molly is such a sweetheart, and it just made it really easy for us to say, let's help out in a small way. And they always need, food, volunteers, financial contributions. They run a good show out there, good shop, and they always have way more dogs and cats than they need or want. So go out and see them out on Mount Tom Road and do that. And let's do it for the dogs. I occasionally do some songs with some howling in it. Aaron,
we got our dog from there a few months ago. So great people. It's a Shar-Pei pit bull mix. So it looks like a silver pit bull, but when it sits, the rolls begin along the back, and I just sit there and knead into. It's like having a stress ball. Best dog we've ever had is a shelter dog. Especially, I always make the joke, it's this evil, scary pit bull dog, And I was like, and then I send a picture of him like laying on me like a baby. And I was like, it's always the owner, not the dog. Don't blame the dog for the way they're behaving.
I'm going to send you a picture too of Molly, our shelter rescue dog, and just great old dog, and so this it's fun to do things that if I ever thought I was going to get rich or famous playing music, that was some kind of an illusion, but I certainly have had a rich life based on the fact that I could play music and could entertain and do shows. That Going to Marietta song was recorded in 2011 at the Mayor's Third Friday Jubilee, which was a concert series that we did the 8 years that I was mayor, 3 times during the summer. So every third Friday, June, July, and August for that 8 years. Well, I and on that song, I've got Johnny Stats and Todd
yeah.
Bird. You mentioned Todd.
Was he the backup vocals on that?
Todd was some of the backup vocals.
Thought I heard his voice.
My buddy Sherm Coons is
I
also
love
on
Sherm,
the backup.
yeah.
You love Sherm.
Yeah.
My old buddy Mike Viguse playing fiddle, and met Vig at Marietta College when I went there years and years ago. And anytime you can get somebody like Johnny Stats to help you out, but it's certainly been a blessing to have great players. And I've always said, my job when I'm putting together an album or a show is for the people in the band to make me sound way better than I am. And I've had the luxury of having great folks and great friends. And
Jimmy Buffett made a career out of that too. I mean, he wasn't a great singer, but he had a great presence and great musicians around him as well. But I loved your voice. I thought it sounded great, and the harmonies were spot on, especially live. Like, you probably didn't have a lot of time to practice, and when you got that many professionals, you don't need hundreds of hours behind your belt, and people can just go out there and do their thing.
Well, it was fun, Aaron, because I got to be the opener act for all those 8 years. So for 24 shows, and it was a different band, a number of times. Andy Hall, who's from around here, drummer.
Oh, yeah.
Andy
He's
was
in a band called Hominid.
Yes, Andy was in the band. John Walsh over the years. John and I started playing together and doing square dances and old time hillbilly stuff. I think John was 16 and I would have been a few years younger than that. But just over the years, great players like Chris Dawson, who's Third Street Music, Dave Martin, Vinnie Melly. I just go through Jimmy Clinton.
Gary Traw.
Never did. I know Dave Traw because I've done a little bit of recording.
Maybe that's
with
who
him.
I'm thinking of. Yeah, I'm thinking of Dave. Sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, well, I was in his studio once. It's absolutely amazing. At the time, it was above Jimmy John's in Parkersburg.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea anything was up there. I go up there. It was a Steve Hussey band, and he had me come in to be the guy that does the clapping track with the band as just like a fun favor. And it was the time of my life. I love being in a legit real studio in a small town, especially one above a restaurant I had no idea existed. So
yeah, there was about 18 different sets of steps that you had to go up to get up there to Dave's studio. But yeah, he's a great recorder, or a great
he has a great ear. He has a great ear for production. It's absolutely.
Let me tell you about that song, just because it is fun. And back when I had the Moon Pizza, new football coach came to Marietta College. Andy Waddle came, and that's been about 8 years ago. And so met Andy. He was there having a pizza with his family, and I, I'm being an MC grad, so I gave him one of these albums that we recorded live at the Armory. It's called Moon Over. And, about 3 months later, my son, who is graduating from Ohio University this Friday with his master's in applied linguistics, he was a teenager then, and he said, "Dad, you got to come outside. I think somebody's playing your music." And so I walked outside, and sure enough, we live, up on the top of, we call it Norwood Mountain, but it's up Norwood Mountain, but on a clear fall day. And so that song, Going to Marietta, is playing from Don Drum Stadium at a large, clear volume. So, you can hear.
That's awesome.
It was, I haven't, nobody's, well, I've been on the radio a few times, but to hear that just in your neighborhood. And so Coach Waddle kind of adopted that as, it's kind of a fight song for Marietta College. So I went back in my original version I was doing. So it's a great place to live, work, and play. Marietta, Ohio, USA, baseball, apple pie, mom, and so it was baseball games. So I went back to Dave Trout's studio and changed that. So for the version that the football team now plays, it says "and football games," and they have. They used to play it before all the home games and at practices, and the guys all sing. And the coach told me this year, and I heard it. They now do it at the end of the game when they all gather around after they have a home victory, and all the boys come out and sing it. And it's like, I'd say it's not quite Carmen, Ohio, at a Buckeye game, but it does feels really good when you're down there and they're all singing, and it's just like, and it's a great hillbilly song, and it just is, it is a great place to live, work, and play, and so that's the story, and I'm sticking to it on.
That's a beautiful story. If as a musician myself, I think I was active for like 13 to 15 years. If anything that I ever wrote stuck like that, and just I don't think I could ever hear it without breaking down and being just like a sobbing mess. So that's so cool. Very, very happy for you that it exists for you and to take with you the rest of your life.
Well, probably one of the other tunes that, and it was funny, maybe 6 months ago, we were doing a songwriter show at the Lafayette with Jake Benniger and John Coons. And Jake said to me that he decided that he was going to be a music player when I came to his class in Waterford Elementary when he was maybe fourth grade. And Jake said he's a full grown ass man now. But he said, and I remember you played that song, Eat More Possum. And that's, so maybe more than the going to Marietta with, the fact that I've done ArtsBridge, the arts and education for, I think this will be the 40th consecutive year that they've had, well, since the beginning, the inception of ArtsBridge, I've done it every year. So there have been a lot of kids who, they may not remember why or how, but Eat More Possum is one that sticks. Probably not going to be on, on the gravestone but
songs are allowed to be fun. They don't all have to be important. They don't all have to have like life-changing lyrics. Again, Jimmy Buffett, how many songs, Fins, Volcano, Pencil Thin Mustache. I don't think anybody's dancing to that at their wedding with their dad or their new spouse. So songs are music itself is supposed to elicit memories, feelings, emotions, but it's also just supposed to be fun. It's an escape from the crap we deal with on a day-to-day. So,
and that's most of the things that I do now are fun, ornery. For 25 years of public life, I couldn't play edgier stuff. One of the songs I wrote, In the Back of My Mercury, there are things that you don't want to come up when you're running for elected office. And so these days I do, they're mostly fun and ornery, and there are a few love songs spattered in and out, and maybe some message songs. And as you said, the things that, emote a feeling, but mostly I hope it just makes people laugh. Mm-hmm. And that's the great thing about the Lafayette and the gun room, that you get people in, 75, 100 people in there singing Eat More Possum. And you just, everybody is having a blast, and that's what we've done on these songwriter shows.
What's the start time for that?
8 p.m. Okay. Friday, May 17th, Lafayette. Yeah. And
I see it has a cash bar and some food that you can purchase. I know when I like to go out to live music, getting a little snack with a couple brews is the way to go. So I'm glad that they're having a cash bar as well.
Great venue.
When did you actually start playing guitar?
I think I was about, 17, 18, and had some friends that played, and I was writing, I guess they were poems that before they became songs. Mm-hmm. And, lived out in the country, back behind Whipple, and being young country hippies. And we played music. We had the first band was called the Whipple Warblers.
Oh boy, that's a hard one to say.
Well, and Sherm. Sherm was one of the original Whipple Warblers.
Whipple Warblers.
Whipple Warblers. Great birds. Warblers. They're great birds. And then we did the Muskingum Valley Mud Ducks.
That sounds more like a small college team name. Like a community college mascot. The Mud Ducks.
Got a great story on the mascot. You just we're doing this spontaneously.
We're riffing.
But in the 90s, I was a trustee at Washington State Community College, and at one of the board meetings, they were just building the new campus. So that was a great time to be on the board. But I brought it up in a board meeting, and I said, we should have a football team, and maybe we shouldn't call it Washington State Community College, with the service areas being Washington and Morgan counties. Why don't we do Whammo State?
Whammo State, W-A-M-O. I like it.
It didn't catch. I was. Again, like my songs there,
if life was a movie, it would have been Whammo State. You would have got a standing ovation, a slow clap.
Somebody may do that now, but so when they
this was back in the day. It was a little different timeline.
When they get the football team, they may need to get a Whammo mascot.
Well, you got towns like Polka, of course, the Dots. You have to be. What else could it be?
What else could it be? Legendary.
Yeah, the Whammo. I don't know what a mascot could be for that.
Well, one of those rock'em sock'em robot things
with his head already.
Whammo State.
Love it. We're getting ready to start a new concert series here at the store called the First City Sessions, where it's going to be very similar. I'm kind of ripping off NPR's Tiny Desk concerts and say VH1 Storytellers, similar to what you're doing here. But we're going to be selling very limited tickets, probably like maybe 10 people, because the floor is kind of noisy. And I want to help fund this. So the tickets will be for sale. And what we're going to be doing is having artists telling a story, singing a song. We're going to record it onto disc for CDs. And then at the end of each year, if we have enough material, we're going to send it away and do a vinyl where everybody gets at least one song on vinyl. Because I feel like as a musician, having something on vinyl is the only way to really feel like it's going to last forever. Because vinyl can, in theory, last forever if you take really good care of it. I mean, we've seen it over the years. So
because you're making an album, which is... Mm-hmm. You don't make. That's what we always called it. Was CD is
an LP.
An album. You on my first album, but it wasn't on vinyl. It was probably on cassette. But
so this is my way of asking if you would love to. I would love to have you come in and do one of those sessions. So far, I've talked to Todd. I'm pretty sure we're going to work together on something in the future. But I definitely have on board people like Jake Dunn and the Blackbirds. I've talked to the lead singer from Oyo, and he was all about it. So I'm hoping maybe that means yes from them. And I've talked to, I think I have like 5 or 6 people already committed to wanting to do it. I announced it last week on my Facebook, and it's getting a lot of positive interest and a lot of positive feedback. So it should take off really well. And we're going to sell the CDs in store year round, and all of the money after I recoup what I spend goes straight to the artist all year long. So that's what it's all about for me, is just having something that'll outlive me past my time running the store. I want First City. We'll never not be the first city, right? I want this to be able to go into the history books and be here after I'm gone, and putting stuff out on physical media is the way to do it, in my opinion. So
Well, good luck with it, and I think you gave me an invitation,
Yeah.
and I'll just say, hell yes.
Yes. I put him on the spot by doing it on the podcast, but I mean, I was pretty sure somebody who has, I don't think you would have turned down that kind of invitation to play for people that are going to be excited to see us. So I appreciate that. And I'm still working out the kinks, trying to figure out, how to do it with the rights and things like that, like who can play what. And I don't want to own, obviously, the rights to people's songs. It's all tricky back end stuff, but the fun stuff, obviously, I can take care of. I'm pretty good at coming up with ideas, as we've seen so far this year. But before we sign off, I do want to ask you a little bit about your time as mayor, and then you brought an instrument that looks very interesting. We're going to end with you playing this instrument, but first, just one little question about your time as mayor. We obviously have already talked about your biggest successes as mayor is the revitalization of downtown. What were some of the biggest hurdles that you had to climb as your time as mayor? And also the flood. I do want to talk about that and how that recovery process went, because the one that we just went through was small potatoes compared to it could have been way worse for all of us. I know there was a lot of, bad stuff happened, but it could have been way, way, way worse. And you went through one that was pretty bad. So,
well, on the good side, and I could do a real brief summation of the mayor job. My pat answer is, I loved it when I did it, and I love it when I don't. And all of the politics has gotten so ugly in the last 10, 12, whatever, recent. But it used to be not a blood sport. It was something that if you win, you go shake your opponent's hand and say, how can you work with us? And, fortunately,
anymore, it's the opposite of that. It's an immediate attack and decorum. There's no decorum.
That sense of community has diminished in the whole, the nature of the us and the them, and now what was some line, there ain't no good guys, there ain't Dave Mason, there ain't no good guys, there ain't no bad guys, there's just you and me, and we just disagree, which is that sense of civility in politics is way, way, way behind us. And it's true. I loved it when I did it and love it when I don't, and no regrets. And, as you were saying, with whatever your legacy piece is, if you leave the place a little better than you found it, even if it's just kids singing "Eat More Possum" and getting a big grin, and because it's a savory treat, Aaron, it's America's other white meat.
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Yes, you will. But flood really, really, it gets your attention in a way that it just becomes all consuming. And I was mayor during the 2004 flood, which got 44.7 feet versus this last event a couple weeks ago, which was 40.7 maybe. Yeah. But you had 4 feet of water.
Yeah, who would have thought 4 extra feet is so different? Like, every foot counts in this town. The amount of people being like, what's my number? What's my number? Is my number this? And hoping to God my number's not this. And I'm new to downtown, and I knew I would deal with flooding, but I was starry-eyed, and I thought, and I got a few years before this is supposed to happen again. The risk outweighs the reward outweighs the risk. Well, luckily for me, it didn't come up to my doorstep even close. Like, we had nothing. Spent my time helping the neighbors as we were supposed to do. I don't feel like it's anything that anybody should be thankful for. I think we all can't survive without each other. Because if they're not here, nobody's downtown walking, then I won't be here. So we're all in this together. So if any of my neighbors ever need anything, it should just be a natural instinct, go and help. How was it
And
like?
you saw that
Oh
with
my
the
God,
community.
we did.
It just all hands on deck, and
Yeah.
everybody showing up from the high school cross country team to
College kids everywhere.
college
Yeah.
kids, church groups.
Was it like that in 04?
It had to be, because, as you said, we'd be sitting doing this interview with 4 more feet of water, with water up to our knees, right here in your space here on Front Street.
Yep.
And that is it's got to be an all in, and we found the resiliency of the community, and it was a damn poor way to have to clean out all the stuff out of your basement, but if you've filled up your basement, and that 04 flood, which hadn't been to that level since 1964. So it had been 40 years in between the last 44-foot. But it caught people off guard, because this wasn't one of those slack water floods where that you see it coming up and you can project it, and the Ohio flow comes and the Muskingum comes, and you see it and you get all your stuff down on Front Street. You take it up to your second floor. But this one came overnight, and an error by the National Weather Service was the precipitated. Well, precipitation isn't a bad, but it was the Ivan flood that precipitated the event. But the story we got from the Weather Service was that they had a thin staff on a Friday night, and one of their operators overrode the computer. The model on the computer was going wild and saying this is going to be a big ass flood in Marietta and all up and down the Ohio Muskingum rivers. And so 2:00 in the morning, when on this would have been Saturday morning of September 4th, maybe the date, but got a call and said, hey, from the city police that things are going crazy. The day before, noon on Friday, the Weather Service had said the all flood warnings were off, which means it'd be below 35 feet in Marietta. So to get almost 10 feet above that, and most of it came, you could see the water rising in the Ohio River as it's coming up at you and on you. So yeah, big mess. We're still here to tell the tale, and something that folks on Front Street, I know some of the stores here were built with their floors are raked from back to front. So you follow the water out with your broom, and these days with a hose. Back in the 100 years ago, they wouldn't had it. They would have pumped it with some kind of hand pump. But that's what river towns you get, and you hope it's 40 years in between every event. And
well, if you haven't been downtown, to any of my listeners, I implore you to go over to the right hand side of Schaefer's Leather. They actually have plaques on the wall from all the different major floods dating all the way back to the early 1800s, and when you have to keep looking up and up and up, it's shocking to think that at one point half of these buildings could have been almost completely underwater. It's
the 1913 flood. It was above the second floor in the Hotel Lafayette. They also have those. The 13 and 37s were I think the 13 was 59 feet. So add 15, add 20 feet to what we just had. And the 37 was 55 or something. So devastating. And let's just knock on wood, Aaron, and wish you a great success down here. And I hope you never have to move in your stuff to the next level.
All right. So let's end the show now on something a little bit more fun and positive than talking flooding. You brought an instrument with you. And let's tell everybody a little bit about what it is, and have you take us out with a little solo on it.
Well, it's an really simple description because it's a piece of about 2.5 foot long cherry stick that's been whittled down. It's a banjo string and a tuning peg from a fiddle, and it's called a mouth bow, and it makes a fun little sound, and some would even call it music. Chicken train running all day. Chicken train running all day. Chicken train running all day. Can't get it on, can't get it off. Better get it on before the chicken get away. The mouth bow. And Aaron, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me down, and look forward to the concert series. If folks want to get out 2 weeks from Friday, May 17th, 8 p.m., Hotel Lafayette, the Gun Room Songwriter Series with Joe Wharf, Jack Wharf, Moon Mullen, and all the proceeds go to benefit the Humane Society of the Ohio Valley. Big bag of Purina dog or cat chow or a financial donation. Come and enjoy a great night of original music, and I'll guarantee you there'll be some surprises and some spontaneity. But thank you, and best of luck, Aaron, and all you're doing down here.
Thank you very much, and it was wonderful chatting with you. I look forward to coming down and seeing the show. Probably bring the wife if we can get a babysitter, which is, it's a harder thing to find these days when you have 3 small ones, but I'm going to do my best. Absolutely. So thank you so much again for coming down and talking to us. I know a lot of people were interested in hearing from you. So we'll see you back here in the store when we do our First City sessions eventually, when we get that all squared away. So thank you again, and we're going to send it back to the studio right now.
Be well, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And there you have it, folks. I hope you stuck around to the very end. Thank you so much for sticking out with us here at the First City Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this amazingly long, basically a 2-hour episode, a double episode, kind of making up for not being around last week. But I promise you that we're back here for the long haul. It was a nice little break after a crazy week. Not saying that we're not going to take breaks from time to time, but I had a great time preparing the show, putting on this show, and I cannot wait to be back next week with a new round of guests. I will let everybody know on our social media, First City Podcast on Facebook, sometime next week, about who is going to be our guests and what we're going to be discussing. But I will say that the next episode of The Blank Show will be my personal record collection show. It won't be next week. It'll be the week after. But we're going to start taking a deep dive into my own personal record collection, kind of showing off things that I will be buried with. Sorry to everybody who thinks they're getting anything out of me after I pass away. These are the ones that are coming to the grave with me. I'm going to show off over the probably 20 albums per episode. Do it over a 5-part episodes over the next few months. But I have records in my collection that I could never, ever even think about getting rid of, and I can't wait to share them with you and why. And so thank you so much. I love y'all, and y'all have a great week. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye then.